gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Footprints. This is a podcast where, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about the people, moments, and experiences that leave a mark on who we are becoming. Sometimes loudly and sometimes quietly, but always in ways that really matter. That's really the most important part. Today's episode is a reminder that some of the most powerful stories aren't told on big stages. They're kind of written in notebooks. They're spoken in classrooms and carried silently by students like this guy over here. I'll introduce him in 1 second. Kind of walking in the same hallways that we pass by every day. My guest today is Hector Suriel, ladies and gentlemen. A student at Beverly High School, he's a writer and spoken word poet. His work kind of explores identity, faith, and family, which I really love. Also talks a little bit about healing. He was born in Puerto Rico, in case you didn't know, and he's raised here in the United States. And Hector uses poetry not as performance, but more as a process or a way to make sense of his experiences that he has, and also gives voice to the stories that often go unheard, right? He's been working since he was young, ladies and gentlemen, as we all have, and he carries himself with a positive mindset and approaches life with quiet maturity that comes through in his words, and we're going to talk about that. This conversation isn't about perfection, ladies and gentlemen. It's about honesty. It's about what happens when someone finds their voice, which I love, and chooses to use it, okay? So today, I invite you to listen closely, ladies and gentlemen, not just to the poetry, but to the pauses. Why? Because in those pauses, those moments are the ones we cherish the most, and those are the deepest footprints, and those are the ones that are being heard right now that kind of led you to where we are. But ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the show, Hector Suriel.
Hi.
How about that? That's a big build-up, huh?
Thank you for having me. Great introduction.
Hector, thank you for coming by. I really appreciate that. We're going to start off right off the bat. Tell us something about yourself, Hector, that nobody knows.
Nobody knows. I think two things. I've been working since I was 7. Well, technically working since I was 7.
Wow.
And I think another thing, excellent cook.
An excellent cook. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's your favorite dish to cook?
My favorite dish to cook just might have to be a mofongo.
Okay, what does that consist of?
It consists of green plantains.
Okay.
There are a difference between bananas and plantains.
All right.
Remember that.
All right, I got it.
Green plantains, some pork, salt, some in there.
Okay.
You mash it up, and there you have it.
And that's it?
And it's fried, too.
All right, so what does it taste like? Give us a preview of how it tastes. What would you say it's a cross between?
It's a cross between Dominican and Puerto Rican heritage. So it's sweet and savory.
Oh.
So it touches.
You're making that for Mr. Davis. Yeah. I'm telling you right now. I want to definitely check that out. So, ladies and gentlemen, we just learned something new. Hector likes to cook, and he makes a nice dish. Now, let's think about a couple of different things here. When you hear the words footprints, what does it mean to you right now in your life when you hear those words?
To hear those words is to leave footprints so that other people can follow it. I'll use an example. It's snowing outside. Some sidewalks have not been cleared.
That is true.
When you say footprints, I think of me following the footsteps that another person have left behind, so I don't get dirty.
Okay, I like that. But let's think about footprints figuratively speaking, right? For instance, you may do something that influences somebody else unknowingly to you, and that's a footprint you left, and they're following that, which is kind of cool.
I think in that way, it makes me think like it excites me to know that I might be doing something that other people may want to follow or may be influenced or inspired to follow.
Okay. I like that. So now let's ask a couple of questions because I'm like curious. I'm going to get into this whole thing. Yeah. Oh, by the way, first of all, family, mom and dad. What do your parents do for a living?
My mom is a manager, assistant manager at a gas station up in, I think, close to North Beverly.
Okay.
And my dad is a manager at American Petroleum.
Oh,
So,
nice. So now let me ask you this: you're a writer
Mm-hmm.
and, a spoken word poet, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to get some examples of what Hector's into in a couple of minutes. But what was the inspiration for that? How did that start? How did that come about?
I think when I started writing, I was in a place where I was in a dark place, so I started writing as a way to process those emotions and how I was feeling at the moment.
Okay.
And also, I came from a family that is very really hardworking, and a family that doesn't quite literally does not give up.
like
I've seen my parents go through some struggles. I've seen them cry. I've seen them get mad. I've seen them in every state of emotions. So it inspired me to write something that, when people are in those situations, can help them process what they're feeling and how they can heal.
Wow, I like that. That is awesome, ladies and gentlemen. These are the footprints right there we're talking about. Okay, now you moved. You were born in Puerto Rico and then moved to the U.S., right? What part of the move still kind of stays with you a little bit? Like, do you kind of remember it?
I remember parts of it. I remember because when I moved. Okay, wow.
It's all right, you're good.
So I was born in Puerto Rico. I was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I lived in what was called Savannah.
Ah.
And it was farm life. I think we had 2 pit bulls and a chihuahua.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Pit bulls. I love dogs.
My dad had my dad had some acres next to the house. It was, and there was a lot of like plants, fruits, everything you can think of. And we had like a couple like chickens, stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah. And I remember parts like that. I don't remember parts of the move. I remember parts of the move, like getting to the house, seeing it, stuff like that. Because when I first moved here, I moved with my mom first.
Right.
And then my dad came later, because since my dad was an ex-police officer.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So, yeah.
Tell us about that a little bit. He was an ex-police officer?
Oh, yeah. My dad.
So, in Puerto Rico?
In Puerto Rico, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was a police officer for, I think, 14 years.
Oh, my gosh.
And he packed his bags and moved here, and then became a mechanic, because while he was in the police force, he was always working with cars, police cars.
Yeah?
Yeah, and he read by the book. He read every single instructions by the book.
Oh, my gosh. So excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. So I can't put together a box, or I'm not mechanical at all. My wife is very mechanical. Shout out to my wife, Courtney, by the way. Love that. Now, let me ask you this. How has being Puerto Rican kind of shaped the way you see yourself, and especially kind of growing up the way you have?
I think being Puerto Rican, it fills me with pride, knowing that I'm a part of something really diverse and different. Because from when I was living in Puerto Rico, it was a time where people were like buddies with their neighbors. Like, neighbors cook for you and you cook for your neighbors. It wasn't about like the community. It was about a community, not like, oh, I'm Puerto Rican, that's it.
Yeah.
It was about like how people get together and actually like, fight for something, or just be there for each other. And you can still see parts of that today, because I'll still go to Puerto Rico, and I'll also like be buddies with like someone next to me at a restaurant. Like, there's like,
it's that camaraderie type of a feel.
Exactly.
Right? Everybody's kind of in it together.
Yeah,
so
and
kind of hanging out.
It's a love that you can feel, like, even though you're not Puerto Rican, there's still that respect and that still kindness to each other.
Okay.
That some nowadays people are missing.
Oh, no
doubt. And yeah, and it shaped me to be a person that appreciates like that beauty in people, or like that beauty and like that respect, and like where priorities may be.
Now, let me ask you this. Was there ever a time that you were kind of caught between both those worlds, like Puerto Rican and now I'm in the U.S.? Were you kind of like, oh, I'm not sure where I fit in, or you kind of already knew, having solid roots, that where you kind of fit in?
I think when I first moved here, I think from the age 5.5 to like maybe start of middle school year, I was still like, oh, I'm from like Puerto Rico, but like I now have to be here because since I moved here, I'm going to Puerto Rico like for 2 weeks, stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And I still have like that familiarity with my family, stuff like that. And yeah, I feel like after middle school, I kind of like became my own person.
Right.
Into like I know who I am. I know that just being Puerto Rican doesn't define me. I have other aspects. Sure, some might be American, but a lot of them are Puerto Rican because that's the household I always grew up in.
No doubt. I like that. So now, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about the spoken word, the poetry. Because he said how he got into it. So can you give us an example of something that you've written that's kind of touched you or moved you in a certain way?
Something I wrote. I think I remember. It wasn't. The name was "If I Truly Knew Myself." I wrote it in a time where I was like I had to sit with myself, because that's the first part of like if. I think my advice, if you want to like start like journaling, find your flow.
Yeah.
Sit with your thoughts and then like sit with it. When you're writing, don't think of it, just write. And then after a couple of days, just sit with it and then process what you wrote, because then you'll find some truth in there. So I think when you say I'm a spoken word poet, it means a lot, because when I started writing, I wasn't like looking for that recognition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was just writing for my feelings.
But then it just kind of came to you, right? So now how do you tie in like identity and faith and family and healing and all that? How do you tie that into your poetry?
Oh, a million ways. Since I was raised in a Catholic home, I sometimes take some parts of the Bible and like put them in my poetry.
Ooh.
Because then it like adds into like depth. You know what I mean? And
for sure.
And I was raised in a place where it was like love one another, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
But there was also like some parts of it that got you through dark times sometimes. So I sometimes use like family like quotes, stuff like that. I'll use like annotations from the Bible. I
do unto others as you would have others do unto you.
Exactly.
Right? That's one of the ones
stuff
I
like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes I write in Spanish, mostly in Spanish, because the Bible I learned from Spanish.
Of course. That's awesome. So I want you to think about his journey, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a guy born in Puerto Rico, right? Comes over here when he's little, right? Has to adapt to the surroundings, right? Make friends, learn the language, I'm sure, at some point, right? And now here he is, a BHS student. He's a junior, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be a senior next year. And now he's telling us his story. So now, I say to you, if you want to sit here and come and tell us your story, and if you like our content, ladies and gentlemen, please go to www.footprintsimpact.com, fill out the guest form, come, sit, tell us your story. Also, don't forget to follow us here on BevCam, also on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. All right. Let me ask you this question now. Let's get back to this, because I love poetry and survival, and this is not a hobby. This is what you do. So now, what does writing allow you to say that's harder to say in words?
I think I'll give you an example. For example, you met your wife at a cafe, and there's no words to describe that sight of your true love. There's no like words to describe how you felt that moment. I want what I write to describe every single second of that stare. I want to explain how you felt in that moment. I want to explain how the tension grew up in the air. I want to explain how your heart started beating. There was butterflies in your chest, and you were just thinking about, oh wow, this is like my true love. And then sometimes I have a habit of ending things in like gut wrenching sometimes. But in that case, I want.
But that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. And sometimes I want to write like, but that's okay because I know this can go on.
For sure. And so one of the biggest things I think when you're doing that, self-reflection is huge, right? When you're writing those things, and then so as you're being introspective about yourself, now that's coming out on the paper. Right, and you're finding your voice that way, which is really kind of cool, right? Have you ever written something that surprised yourself that when it came out, you're like, ooh, I can't believe I just wrote that?
Almost everything. But yeah, I think there was a couple that surprised me that came out of my handwriting. There are some things that I wrote that I noticed in people. There were some things that sometimes when I write, it's not like biographical. It's like autobiographical. It's not about me. It's about what I see as a person.
Oh, okay.
Because
so different perspective.
Exactly. I want to like put those feelings that I see into the paper into like in a way that people can understand and relate to.
I love that. So, having said that, let me ask you this. So, do you kind of write more what life feels kind of heavy, or when things are really kind of calm?
You know, at one point I did get accustomed to like writing only like about depressing stuff. I was like, oh, this and happened to me, blah blah, or this happened to this person, stuff like that. I did get accustomed to like writing, always staying in that dark place.
Yeah.
But then I noticed that when I was writing about, that same dark place, I wasn't moving on.
Right.
So when I started writing about stuff like about love, about happiness, how I feel about my friends, stuff like that, it made me like kind of move on from that dark place. Of course, I'll have like times where I'm gonna write some dark things or happy things. Of course, that's the way of life.
Yeah.
But now I'm like moving forward about how I feel as a person, how what happened shaped me as a person, and how I can be more happier with it.
Wow. That's talk about reflection, man. That's really cool.
Thank you.
I mean, to be such a young guy, to be able to do that is really, really amazing. Not too many people have that ability, and I praise you for that. That's pretty cool. Now, you've been working since you were a young age. You mentioned that, right? How did that responsibility kind of shape who the person you are right now?
It shaped me to be the person that I can rely on myself and not other people.
Ah, I love that.
Because since I was young, not me and my mom, my dad and my mom kind of sent some responsibilities as a young person or a young child, whatever. Like, oh, do this and like blah, blah. And it shaped me to be the kind of person that I can like rely on my own things.
Yeah.
And like kind of plan on stuff. Because now I'm in the midst of planning for college and moving on my own, stuff like that. And I can like do on a paper like budgeting, how much do I have to work to get this thing, and it shaped me to be a person that I can be like more responsible with my things.
So more self-discovery,
Exactly.
right? And explaining to yourself, hey, I really got to do this in order to get this, which is really important, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell a quick story. I have 7 children, 4 boys and 3 girls, and my son Austin, who is now 30, going to be 31 this year, he went to Pine Manor College, and I loved Austin, but Austin, we used to say Austin would have to marry a rich woman because he couldn't take care of himself, right? But he learned that responsibility when he went to college. He learned how to budget his money. He learned how to wash his own clothes. He learned how to feed himself, all those things. And you're actually in the middle of doing that, and you're kind of like projecting yourself and thinking, okay, I got to reflect back on my inner self, and then now I've got to put that out there. And I got to make sure I understand what needs to be done in order for me to be able to get from point A to point B. Yeah. Which is really important. Okay? I love that, Hector. I love it. So now faith shows up in your work a lot, you said, right? What role does faith really play in how you navigate through life?
Okay. So, for an example, I'm just going to say how it is. My faith has helped me get through some dark times because there are some things I said to the person I believe that I couldn't say to, like, for example, my mom or like my dad. There are some things I communicated with a God that just stayed there, I guess. Obviously, I had my doubts. I had, experiences where like, oh, maybe this doesn't happen or stuff like that. Yeah. But I noticed that it wasn't about faith. It was like, oh, like you're saying this aloud, so it's like actually happening. So let's fix it.
Yeah. No
doubt.
And more like manifestation, right?
Exactly.
You're talking, speaking into existence,
yeah,
right?
I'm speaking what I want into my life, and I learned that it's not like, oh, like I don't know, I'm Catholic and you're not, blah blah. This is, you have to do this. No, it's more about like spreading like love and like happiness, because that's what it's about.
Oh, of course, no question. I mean, if you're kind to yourself, you can be kind to others.
Exactly.
Right? And if you love yourself, that's even better, because that means you can love other people regardless of what they do to you, right? Because you don't see what the person did. You just see that person as an individual, and they might need a little help, right? And you might be that person, that buffer to actually help them over that hump that they need. So that's a good thing. Now, you describe yourself as an easygoing with a positive mindset. We like that too. What did you learn from that natural mindset of being, I'm just going to be easygoing, I'm going to figure things out?
I think, not an example. When I was in elementary school, I was really like, oh, I'm doing this, and like nobody can convince me to do anything else. I was really hard-headed. Elementary school was
that sounds familiar, ladies and gentlemen.
The toughest time, and I think in the process of that stage of like going through puberty, going through the stages of teen life, I think I learned how to just like calm down. Sure, I'll have my moments like, oh, I'm gonna do this and you can't convince me. Yeah. Of course, everybody has those moments. Yeah. But I think I learned how to like calm down, just like take a step at a time. Yeah. And yeah, stuff like that.
Sometimes it's really important to take a step back. Hold on one second, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I was in good voice. Now I'm back. Sometimes it's great to be able to take that step back, right? Because once you do that, you can assess exactly what it is that needs to be done, right? Or how you're feeling about that certain thing that's happening in that moment. And I think that's one of the most important things we can do as individuals, is be able to take a step back and not make it be all about us, right? But sometimes, being able to find that peace inside that little bit of like silent thing that you do is important. Now, what keeps you grounded when things get overwhelming? Things can get spinning out of control. Like, how do you stay grounded?
How I stay grounded. I think how I stay grounded is like just pulling myself back, as you said. Just pulling myself back, like thinking, okay, what's in my reach? What can I do right now at this moment, and what can wait a couple seconds? Because, for example, I'll be at work and I'm in a rush. There's a rush, there's a line outside, stuff like that. I think I learned how to like, okay, I can just take their orders and do their orders. I can't do anything else. I'll clean after. That can be it later. I need to like calm the line down. I also take advice from my mom, because she was the one that saw me and helped me through some like overwhelming things. And yeah, stuff like that.
So now, has anyone ever told you that your writing made them feel some kind of way?
Many times.
Many times?
Yeah.
Okay, and how did that make you feel?
It made me feel kind of accomplished, because the way I write my poetry, it's not like to like, oh, like I want you to make you feel sad. No, it's like make you think about things that maybe other people are going through, more like an empathetic way. Like, oh, like sure, this thing happened to someone else, but maybe that might be happening to you. Maybe you can help other people with what you learned.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, because this is why the podcast exists, ladies and gentlemen, Footprints, right? We want to help people who may be in Hector's same situation. Maybe you're a soft-spoken poet. Maybe you write certain things down. Maybe you can relate to where Hector's coming from, right? And in turn, Hector's footprints are helping your footprints, and you're helping each other, which we love. And that's the beauty of Footprints. What do you hope people feel when they read your poetry or hear your poetry? What do you hope that they get from it?
What I hope what people get from it, I think immediately I need to see some sort of emotion. I can't just see like a wall. I need to see how you truly feel, how your like soul is feeling. But I think I want people to like, if they don't show emotions, I want them to sit with it.
And then when they sit with it, then what are they doing? They're actually thinking about it, right?
Yeah, they're thinking about it, and I want them to like realize, oh, this was like deep, or this was like very sentimental, maybe I can like put this in my life and like move forward. Because what I want to do with my work, I want to like put walls with the past. Because what I learned and what advice that my dad told me, stop staying in the past. Because when you stay in the past, you're quite literally staying there. If you're staying in elementary school, your mindset might be more childlike.
Excuse me, you're right. Well, it's interesting you said that, because one of the things my dad used to say to me is the future is determined by the present. So what does that mean? I'm thinking to myself, what? I don't know what I'm talking about. The more you do things now to set yourself up for later, because sometimes people have a vision, at least I do, of what I want to do and accomplish, and I speak things into existence. So if you do something now and you're talking about it and you're really just manifesting it, right? It's going to happen. Sometimes my dad would say, well, it's already happened. It just hasn't happened yet. So one of the biggest things I think we can do as individuals is have some foresight about what we want to get out of our lives, right? And how we're impacting other people. And you can always be kind to someone, right? Because kindness is free, right? And one of the biggest things I think we should do, and just myself, and I do this anyway, is be introspective like you talked about, and reflect on certain things that I think have an impact on you. And then as you do that, now you can kind of give that back to the world in a positive way, not a negative way, which I think is really important. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What has writing taught you about healing?
That it's slow. Because thing I learned was, think of healing as a coffee cup full of coffee, dark coffee, no milk, no nothing.
Okay.
Just full of coffee. And you're just washing it, but you have to like put this like water in. It's not gonna get clear overnight. It's gonna take some time. It's gonna take some prayers or like some walks to the forest, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's gonna take some time to process what you're feeling, to process what you can do in that situation, and process how to build a transparent wall. Because thing about walls, you can't put like a brick wall. You have to see your past and learn from it.
Oh, no question. So now, having said that, when you were a freshman first coming into BHS to now you're a junior a couple years later, what would you tell your freshman self walking in the doors of BHS that you've learned now that you're a junior?
It gets easier.
It gets easier.
It gets easier.
Okay. And what gets easier?
Life. It gets, because before BHS, I wasn't in the Beverly Public Schools. Before Beverly, I was in Northbridge. Shout out Northbridge.
Shout out.
I was in Northbridge throughout middle school career, and then I moved to Beverly. So it was strange ambience. I was accustomed to one environment, now I'm into another.
Yeah, definitely.
So I learned, I was like kind of scared. Oh, what if I don't make any friends? Or like, what if this and that happens? I don't get a job, stuff like that.
So you started projecting these worries already.
Yeah.
Like, what if this doesn't happen? What if that doesn't happen? Yeah, that's too much.
And I was really worried about what was going to happen in the future. I wasn't staying in the present. And I was like making life so much harder than it was. Yeah. And now like more calm, easy going, positive.
Yeah.
And yeah, life just gets easier after like you sit with yourself and process what you think.
So now, are you most proud of the version of yourself now or then?
I'm more proud of the person I am even now.
Okay, why?
Because the person I was before was very closed-minded and very not friendly. Okay. Because right now I see myself as easygoing, always laughing, always making jokes. So sorry.
We love
always
that,
making
though.
jokes. And before I was very closed-minded, very like quiet. And I think the best example would be getting assigned like a partner on a school project. I would never talk to a partner, ever. Yeah. I would prefer do the project by myself. Yeah. Now, sure, sometimes I have to do with work, but after a little while, just like we're here to do something.
But I love this. So, what did you learn about yourself through all that process? Now that you used to be like, I don't want to do this with anybody, I'm just doing it myself. What did you learn?
I learned that it's to something bigger. Because if you really think about it, school is just getting prepared for us for kind of some sorts of life.
Absolutely.
College, thinking about rent, stuff like that. It makes you feel prepared about what you want to go into. Maybe inspires you to do like English teacher, or like math teacher, stuff like that.
Definitely.
So I think, sure, sometimes I hate school. that's the natural way.
Listen, everybody does. You know, everybody
Exactly.
goes through that phase. But the thing is, it's a necessary evil, is what I like to say it is. Even though it's not really evil. I love it. But it's something you really need to do, to go through, to experience. I've said on this podcast many times, my dad used to say to me, and he said this to me when I was 13, sometimes a man or a woman will meet their destiny on the road they took to avoid it. And so one of the best things you can do for yourself is go through those experiences. And as you go through those experiences, now you become more, not numb, but more aware of other folks and their situations, and how you can kind of interact with them as well, which I think is really kind of cool. What footprint do you hope to leave at BHS as an individual?
A footprint I want to leave as an individual in BHS.
When people think of Hector Suriel, what do you hope they think of?
To be kind. I think that's the ultimate goal.
Okay.
To like realize, sure, you're in a bad place, but it gets better.
Absolutely.
Not like focus on like, oh, it's gonna stay bad forever. It's gonna like, this is like the end or whatever. I want people to know. For example, if they say my name, I want them like to get like, hey, how are you doing? Stuff like that. And have respect for one another. That's the big thing that's missing.
That's huge. That's huge. I mean, today's family is kind of difficult because sometimes it's fractured and you don't get that respect, right? But respect is given and respect is earned in different ways. And that's the way we can do it, is by owning our own space and understanding our own selves, and then giving that respect back to other folks as we interact with them, right? 5 years from now, what do you hope you're still writing about?
I hope I'm still writing about love and happiness.
Love and happiness.
I want to still write. Sure, I'll have my ups and downs, but I want to still write about how I can appreciate the beauty of seeing people like hug in a cafe, or like seeing like that tension of love with my grandparents, stuff like that. And also I want to like start writing about like education, how I feel, stuff like that.
Okay. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take just so you know, Hector is, first of all, one of my favorite students. I have to say that on air. And secondly, is so smart. Can you share with us one of the things that you're thinking about doing when you get out of BHS?
Law school.
Law school. So why? Why law school?
The explanation I always say, and the explanation I always like truly hits me hard, is I saw my mother, for example, when she lived in Puerto Rico. I think she was a massagist and she was a nurse.
Oh.
And of course, a combination with my dad being an ex-police officer for 14 years and was the best police officer in all of Puerto Rico for a couple years.
Right.
And that inspired me to like help people in like a justice way.
Okay.
And I want to like help people kind of move on and like, sure, this is happening, but we're gonna resolve it. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Yeah, because with like being a nurse and a police officer, you have to like think, what can I do?
Yeah, no doubt. So those are the footprints, ladies and gentlemen, right there. As he just laid out, his dad was in law enforcement, and now he wants to do it as well, but in a different way, which I really love. That's awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like our content, please subscribe to BevCam. Don't forget, we're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and guess what? If you want to come and sit, tell us your story, go to www.footprintsimpact.com, fill out the guest form, come, sit, tell us your story. We'd love to hear your story. If a younger student were listening to this podcast, which I hope everybody does, and they're kind of struggling to find their voice, right? What would you say to them?
Oh, just think it. Not think it. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I want, cause right now, I'm a mentor with some of the kids, with the school stuff like that, and I kind of don't talk to them too much because no meetings, stuff like that. But truly, honestly, I want to like help younger versions of me, because I know a transition to high school is not easy. I can say that. And especially finding who you are as a person is harder, because you have to kind of sit in a box that you kind of discarded under your bed. And maybe in that box is the person like you were trying to avoid to become. And maybe that person is the person that you were meant to be. You know what I mean?
No doubt. Yeah, I do know what you mean. That's an interesting thing. It's like the cocoon and the butterfly.
Exactly.
Almost like that, right?
Yeah.
You kind of spin your wheels, and all of a sudden, boom, you break out, and there you are. You're something different, but beautiful as well, which is what we love. Rapid fire questions, a couple of them.
Hit me.
Poetry or spoken word itself? Like, which one would you prefer?
Spoken word.
Spoken word. Okay, why?
Because poetry kind of encapsulates a few stanzas. Spoken word kind of like frees, like, sure, it's like a story. It takes you from one place to A and B to B, but it brings you through the emotions yourself. Sure, poetry can do that, but it's shorter.
It's shorter, yeah.
And sometimes when things take a long time, you deal with it and you process it, and then
plus
you heal.
you appreciate it, I think, a lot more too as you're going through it, right? The longer it takes, you're like, oh, I like that. That's kind of that's something that's it's going good, right? So that's pretty cool. I dig that. Let's see, Puerto Rico or the United States?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. All right.
100%.
Why? Your favorite memories probably from Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah. So I have favorite memories here, but I think the community is much more closer over there. Obviously, there's some parts I don't remember because the school system might be different.
Right.
Naturally. But I think in Puerto Rico, there's community.
No doubt. No doubt.
Stuff like that.
Community's beautiful. We love community. Yes, indeed. If you could have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, famous or not famous, doesn't matter who it is, who would it be and why? It's a good one, huh?
Yeah. I think it would have to be Maya Angelou.
Okay. Maya Angelou. Wow. I like that one. And why would Maya Angelou be
I think
the one you would want to sit with?
I want to learn how she learned how to, obviously we can just Google this, but I want to learn like how it was to be like a black woman and like starting to do a poet business. I want to learn how the struggle she had to face. I want to learn how. I just want to know how she felt in that time. I want to know how she felt when she passed on.
No question. The struggles, yeah.
And I want to know how. I want new ways to learn how to express something that I'm only expressing maybe one or two ways. You know what I mean?
No question.
Because Maya Angelou, great, amazing poet, will go down in legacy like an amazing poet. But I want to know more ways how to like, maybe instead of doing 2 ways, maybe 5 ways. You know what I mean?
So I often think about this question that I ask you, and there's so many people I'd want to sit with and talk to, but I keep coming back to James Brown. Now, James Brown was a singer back in the day, and my parents used to play James Brown, The Temptations, Diana Ross and the Supremes, all that stuff in the house. And so James Brown actually performed at this place in Boston called the Old Brown Jug. I'm dating myself now, ladies and gentlemen. That's a long time ago. But anyway, he would be the one I'd want to sit with and have dinner with and ask, how did you come up with this persona of, being this guy? They call him the Godfather of Soul. He's one of those guys that had a great voice. So if you ever listen to any James Brown records, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can see by the clock on the wall it's about that time. But before we leave, I want to say one of the things I keep coming back to on this podcast is the idea that impact doesn't require a platform, it requires honesty. And Hector was very honest with us today. What Hector shared is a reminder that voice isn't something you're given. It's really something you grow into, right? And through faith and through work and through family and through the courage to kind of sit with your own experiences long enough, you kind of come to an understanding, and you understand those as well that you're going through. You understand them. His poetry doesn't ask for attention. What it does is it offers connection, right? And in a world that moves fast and talks really loud, ladies and gentlemen, that kind of vulnerability really matters, I think. So if you're listening to this, and I hope you are, and tell your friends and neighbors about us, and you're a student who feels like unseen, unheard, or unsure if your story is worth telling, let me be the first one to tell you that it is. And your voice definitely matters, and your story matters, and someone out there needs to hear it. So that's why you need to come sit and talk to me about it, which you did very well today, Hector. I appreciate that. Even if you don't know who you are yet, you'll figure that out as things go on. Remember, the future is determined by the present. Hector's leaving footprints not just through his writing, ladies and gentlemen, but through the space he creates for the reflection and the healing of all of that, which we really love. And those are the kind of marks that last forever. And I thank you for listening to Footprints today. And I always leave you with this. And I want you to pay attention to the footprints you're leaving, and also the ones that brought you here to this podcast today. But I always leave you with this question. And I want you to think about it and sit with it. And then let me know next time who left a footprint on you. Thanks. I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.